As a lot of people are used to having something shiny to look at and something entertaining. So this is the best you're going to get from me. I'm not here to entertain you. I'm not a professional YouTuber. I'm just an amateur guy throwing stuff out there. I believe all gun people should be putting stuff up there just to flood YouTube with gun stuff. But a lot of people just like to look at gun stuff and critique it. So I'm hoping that's kind of what happens here. I hope you watch this and you don't get too bored. You don't expect a horse and pony show just me talking. I'm not one for just preaching to the choir, and I don't like it when someone just tells me what I want to hear. I like to kind of think outside the box. So my objective here is just to challenge what everyone's telling you and maybe think about something from a different angle for a change. So I'll try and be brief about it. But I'm not the one to associate myself with an object I don't identify as a Glock guy or Smith & Wesson guy or HK or whatever. I just get what works. Well, my camera shut off, but whatever. I think it's still recording. I just get what works for me, and in that case, I went out and bought this gun. I'm not a handgun guy. I recognize that they're a tool to carry with you as a kind of like a security blanket more than anything, but in the event that you do need it, it is a tool that can save your life or someone else's. But like I say, they're not real exciting or fun to me. But I went and got this Sig P365 because it's small, which means I'm going to wear it, and it has high capacity. And let's be honest, you're not carrying around a pocket full of magazines with you. You pretend you do. Heck, you pretend that you carry your gun with you. And by you, I just mean generally speaking, the gun owner population, the concealed carry crowd. I think the last study I saw, 2.5% of people actually carry them with them consistently. So it's in your interest. I'm just doing, I'm doing apples to apples here. I'm looking at the subcompacts because it is in your interest to get something that you're going to actually wear. The big guns, as great as they are, you leave them at home. And if you're getting bigger guns, you got a truck gun or whatever, it's much more effective than any pistol round. Pistol pokes holes and it's about shot placement and for stopping people anyway. And so you got a gun you're going to carry. You got a very small crowd of guns, really. The ones that float to the top are always the Smith & Wesson Shields, the Glock 43s, and I'm not looking at 380s or mouse guns or anything. I'm looking at 9mm, and just because that's what's popular. And the Sig P365 came on the scene, and on paper it's just a fantastic gun, and in real life I believe it's a fantastic gun. The people that don't like it, and this is where I'm going to probably irritate people, typically it's let's say Glock loyalists, for example. Glock, it's got a proven track record. The number one criteria for carrying a pistol is reliability. That's what everyone's going to tell you, and I could tell you the same thing, but I'm going to come at it from a different angle and say it's not the number one criteria. The number one criteria, and it's not even the number two, I would say. Number one is concealability and comfort. One criteria is having the gun in the time that you need it, which means all the time, because chances are something bad, if it's ever going to happen to you, if you don't have your gun 100% of the time, you can't pick that moment. So chances are, if you don't wear it all the time, you won't have it when you need it. So let's say something happens, you have your gun on you, boom. Number one, that's the most important thing, you have your gun. Number two, obviously, is your ability to use it. So many people put weight on the gun's reliability. You can rely on the gun. You need to be able to rely on yourself. First and foremost, the gun is just an object. It's not going to do anything for you. You know how to use that gun, be familiar with that gun, and know how to shoot it, when to shoot it, and when not to shoot it. And so that's another criteria that to me becomes higher than the reliability of the actual gun. And number three is capacity, I believe. When you're discharging, if you have a Glock 43, for example, you've basically got a revolver. And okay, let's say there's three scenarios. A guy's got a Sig P365 with this example has a 12 plus run. You got 13 rounds in it. You've got a Smith & Wesson Shield, which has got 7 plus 1, I believe, and the Glock 43 is 6 plus 1. Which gun is going to malfunction? Guaranteed, first, is going to have a catastrophic failure during a moment when you need it most. It's going to be the Glock. Why? Because it's going to run out of ammo. And once it's out of ammo, it's totally useless. It may as well have exploded in your hand. It's garbage. And then the Shield, and then the Sig P365. It's going to offer more ammunition in an emergency, and you don't want to be fumbling with reloads. And honestly, like I said, the likelihood of you carrying a pocket full of magazines at that exact moment isn't very high either. So my win goes to the Sig P365. I also give it a lot of credit for innovation. You look at Glock. Glock has been around since the 80s, and they really haven't changed a thing. And they could say a proven track record and reliability. And I look at it as I'm into motorcycles too. It's like your Harley guys. They're like, Harley just kind of cranks out the same thing over and over, markets to the same crowd. That crowd's going away, and they change the paint colors and change the names or whatever, but the bike's the same. So Harley was at a point where, like, wow, we're dying because no one's buying our bikes anymore. This innovation, you get, like, for example, a KTM Super Duke. It's a V-twin too. And so Harley finally woke up and says, we need to evolve or die, and so they upgraded. And it took competitors innovating and bringing new products to the market to make them do that. Sig did that. Sig innovated. It brought a new market. It made the risk. A lot of people are cracking down on it because it had some stumbles initially. But what it did do is it set a new standard, and companies like Glock have to now answer to that. The Glock 43X is not an answer. It's a bigger gun. It just elongated the hardest part to conceal on a handgun, which is the grip. And so hopefully other companies innovate as well, and the Glock or the Sig P365 will be good for that in bringing forth further development of concealed carry, making them so we wear them, so they have high capacity, so they can be there as tools to do what we need them to do when we need them to do it.